Now moving on to the next team, the Raiders, picking 17th overall. This is the team where, so overall, I would say their draft wasn't horrible. I, I
Yeah,
give them like a basically a B minus C plus. But the issue is for me is their first pick, Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama. I had multiple other offensive
yeah.
linemen higher up on my board. Like I had Alex Leatherwood going mid to late second round at best. Uh, um, Especially even with Christian Darrisaw still there, Tevin Jenkins still there, the Landon Dickerson still there, the North Dakota State
Oh,
guy. I'm blanking on his name. Um, he had a weird.
yeah.
He had an interesting name as well, but
Dylan Radunes.
he was still
Dylan
available.
Radunes.
And then you
Dylan
take
Radunes.
Alex
Or
Leatherwood.
Dylan Radunes.
Say it again. That's it. Yeah, redundant. Then taking Alex Leatherwood, who did not have a good Senior Bowl, felt like his combine wasn't
Yeah.
nearly as good as some of the other ones, and maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah.
Maybe they have him being more of a
But
guard
but their
and
whole
being
so
a
they lost
big
Trent Brown
guard,
in the offseason and their holes at
and
tackle. So
if
I
he can
think he
develop
will end
into
up
that
playing
role,
tackle. And he did win the award for the best offensive tackle in the country.
yeah,
The the problem with that I have with that is that he was going up against guys that weren't necessarily top of the line. So for me, you can look like the
hmm
best offensive tackle in the country playing against guys. Granted, it is the SEC, but playing against guys that aren't quite as big or as fast as what you're going to play against in the NFL. And when you play against those guys that are almost as big and almost as fast as those guys you play in the NFL, you struggle at the Senior Bowl. That for me is where I'm kind of like, well, it's like maybe he's a second, a third round guy, and if he doesn't work out, you can kick him into guard. Uh, but
yeah.
I like Alex Leatherwood. I just don't think that that is like the right place for him to have been picked. So,
Yeah, I I felt like
mhm.
they were better offensive tackles that were available at that time. Like I mean,
Yeah.
Christian Darrisaw fell all the way down to 23 overall. Devin Jenkins and Dylan Merdam were still there. Now that would have
I
been
mean,
early for
Darisaw
both
at
of them as
17, I
well, but
think,
I
is
thought that
about
they were
right.
still better prospects than Alex Leatherwood.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
no. I meant
yeah. But
Jenkins
I agree. Those
and
guys I still had
Dylan
rated
Merdam
higher.
as well.
But
So yeah,
another issue that I did have with the
yeah,
Raiders draft, not to just kind of like beat a dead horse here, is they drafted three safeties. Uh, and like I like Trayvon Morig. To me, he was the
yeah.
highest rated safety in the class. And then Divine Diablo, I didn't know a whole lot about. And then
hmm
Tyree Gillespie was a guy that I had ranked well below Jamar Johnson
Yeah.
from Indiana, and they could have gotten him at both of those safety picks, and they still didn't do
hmm
it. Uh, so I don't understand triple dipping at the safety
Yeah.
position first of all, and then I don't even really like the picks that they made at that spot. So that for me is another big
Yeah. hmm
minus. And like the more it also too, the more I look at this is the more I kind of just don't really like it.
Well, and I felt like the
Mhm.
Raiders overall was a decently well-rounded team. Obviously they had some holes to fill, um, but I felt like they were one of those teams where they could have picked around a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
over the defense, and then maybe throw in an offensive weapon towards later on. But they you're right with the three safeties, and then taking the cornerback, and then the Malcolm Kuntz
mm,
edge rusher from Buffalo. He had a solid year, and so I think he could have some potential there. But then not getting a linebacker, not maybe getting another cornerback, or maybe another offensive line, or maybe another weapon later on in the round. But
yeah,
that's where to me it's odd. It's absolutely odd. To have three safeties, two back to back in the third and fourth round when you can
yeah,
get some serious value with some of these picks. That's where for me, I probably would go with a C plus on their draft, just because
yeah.
with Trayvon Morig and I do like Malcolm Kuntz as well.
Yeah,
But we'll just have to see. It feels like
I'm
some
gonna
of these
go with
picks
just a
might have been
C.
a
That
reach
like they did need
or a
help in their
waste.
secondary. Uh, I don't
Hmm.
I don't really see the point in drafting three safeties, but because honestly, sometimes you only have one or two safeties playing, unless they feel like they can convert one of them to a slot corner or something like that. But I'm gonna go with just
Hmm.
a C, C to C minus, because that to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and they did
Okay.
have other needs, like they could have drafted more offensive linemen to protect Derek Carr,
Yeah.
improve the running game. They could have drafted more defensive linemen. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. It's just kind of an odd draft, just because I guess this is the first year I've really looked in depth at all the
yeah.
teams
I,
drafted.
I
I don't
mean,
think I've ever seen any team triple dip at a position
yeah,
that
yeah. Well,
maybe
like
wasn't like a cornerback
because
or
you have a
like a
free safety and a
lineman
strong safety,
position. You know what I mean?
and that's really it. I mean, you can't even play more than two, I guess maximum three at a time if you convert one to a slot corner.
They can maybe convert one or two of them
Yeah,
into
yeah.
corners,
And so
but I
that
feel
that
like
to
you
me is
normally see
like
corners go to safeties, not
where
safeties
where
go to
I where
corners.
I'm lost on
Right.
that. But I said this in our overall like draft review. The Raiders have their board
Hmm.
and they stick to it. Like they don't care what anybody else says. And so like I give props to them for that. Uh, I just feel like their
Yeah,
franchise
no,
might
that's
be
fair.
worse off for it. So
Yeah. Well, there's something admirable about
yeah,
sticking to
yeah,
your guns. Like we think Alex Leatherwood is better than Christian Darrisaw. Like, okay, all right,
yeah.
and and obviously we're just two dudes on the internet talking about this, and so our
True, but
opinion is
our
going to be
opinion
different
is
than
with
theirs,
the
and
98
frankly, it
other
doesn't really
percent
matter
of
what our
people
opinion
who
is. But
yeah.
yeah, that thought
Yeah.
that the Alex
I
Leatherwood
hope
pick
he
was
is.
interesting.
I'm
But
rooting for the
hey,
guy.
he could be an All
So,
Pro, Hall of Famer, and I hope I hope so too. Yeah, so it was definitely interesting. I
mhm.
remember when I saw that pick come on the ticker, and it was
Yeah, no,
a
not
little
especially
shocked.
not
I
after the
wasn't
Senior
expecting that
Bowl
name
and
to
his
go off in the first round.
pro day performances,
So
but
so
yeah, no, definitely.
yeah, especially also with the other guys that were just available on the board. Like that was one of the things. But they saw something in him that they liked in comparison to everything else. So only time will tell, and it's something
Yeah.
we could do
Well, we could do
a
like maybe
draft
next year. We could be like
review
predictions versus
of our draft
reality.
reviews. So
Uh,
yeah, it would be neat to see who this would be an episode idea, but go through all the number one picks again, or
yeah, yeah,
who's had a good rookie year, who
yeah,
didn't have a good rookie year, etc. So actually, we don't even have to go through all the picks,
yeah, yeah.
but just the main notable ones, probably like the quarterbacks and such. But